I'm Keely and I'm here in the Joy Pratt Markham Gallery in Walton Arts Center in Fayetteville, Arkansas, here to present Devata, a sculpture by Anita Huffington being presented as part of her Silent Poems collection. Devata was created in 2007. At that time, the artist had moved to Ozarks here in Arkansas, and that move can be represented in the medium of the piece. It is made of wood and plaster, and we can see how Anita Huffington has incorporated her natural surroundings into her sculptures. Devata is also a Hindu term for God. God can be a reference for a female or male, but based on the body shape, we can tell that this is obviously a stylized feminine piece. While only showing a segment of the body, the shape of the medium, the contortion, demonstrates movement. This movement and representation is very naturalistic. However, as we move farther out to the edges of the piece, it becomes more natural, as Huffington displays the mangled warp wood of the surface of the original medium she was working with. This kind of mangled wood area shows an emphasis on texture, and we can see how the texture moves as we put more focus onto the actual female form. The body shape is idealized. As we can see, it has very round breasts and small waist and large hips with a round stomach. And it seems to be idealized to fit that Hindu standard of beauty, but it also can be somewhat part of the U.S. standard of beauty as that has developed over the years. Another great thing about this piece is the movement kind of represents a different emotion or interpretation depending on how the viewer sees it. For sure, the movement interprets this idea that the piece is trying to break outside of the medium that's created it, but whether or not it's a positive or negative connotation can kind of be interpreted by the viewer depending on what you want to see these mangled wood on the sides represent, whether or not it's anguish or jubilation. Some pieces that are reminiscent of this would be Michelangelo's Slave series, where he created some Greek marble sculptures in which the forms are not fully complete. Those definitely represent anguish, as it's showing kind of a slave. They are stuck to the medium which has created them. Huffington's is a little different because it leaves a little more room for interpretation that the Devata could be in a positive state and not necessarily in anguish from being trapped in the medium. Another reference that can be made is to the Yakshi bracket figure in the stupa in India, and that stupa, or that bracket figure, has very, very round hips, large stomach, round breasts, very, very similar to Anita Huffington's representation of the Devata here. What drew me to this piece is the fact that it can be interpreted in different ways due to the fact that you really don't see a face or arms or legs, so it's possible for the viewer to make their own interpretation of what the full body might be looking like. It's also very impressive as you can see the nature and the texture of the mangled wood, and you can see how great Anita Huffington is at her craft, because you can see how she is molded and smoothed out the surface to be an idealized form like this body. Thank you very much.